Hi everybody, thank you guys so much for checking out my video. I have a couple of topics on my mind. Both deal with viral videos. So one of them is about the woman who came on talking about pretty privilege, and she was a fair-skinned, presumably mixed race woman with light colored eyes, and I want to give my opinions on that. And the other topic, which I think will be a separate video, is about the woman who she was African American, presumably she was black at least, and she had a meltdown on camera talking about what she had done for her other half who didn't want to claim her and was posting other women but wouldn't post her. And I want to discuss both of those things, but I think they will be two separate videos because I don't know if I'll have time. So in this one, we will start with the pretty privileged lady. So unless you've been living under a rock, if you are a African American person on TikTok, you're probably well aware, even if you're not on TikTok but you're on YouTube, of this controversy. I knew it was going to be some stuff when I first saw it pop up, and at this point it hadn't gotten as bad as it's gotten. Like, I knew it was, okay, how should I put this? It's like, it's one thing to privately snicker and it's another thing to publicly snicker, so I want to kind of try to, you know what I mean? Was this woman ugly? In my opinion, no. She was not ugly. Did she look more mature than the age that she told everybody? In my personal opinion, yes, and that's not to be cruel. She did look more mature. Now, that was probably connected to her weight loss because, unfortunately, when your skin has been stretched out for a long time, she used to be very overweight and she lost weight. When your skin's been stretched out for a very long time, it loses its elasticity. And I've even seen this happen in very young people, so it's not just because she's older, but her being older does not help, okay? But do I think that she has pretty privilege versus colorism? I think there's more colorism than pretty privilege. That's my personal opinion. I don't mean that in cruelty. I promise I don't. And that's another thing. How she presented herself was not in a way that would elicit feelings of like, oh, that's a bad chick. Okay, anybody, I don't care how pretty you think somebody is, and that, like, I think Beyonce is gorgeous, but have I seen Beyonce look less than gorgeous because, you know, zero makeup? And it's not to say she's not pretty without her makeup on, but she obviously looks better made up than she does. And now I'm going to have the Bayhive after me, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. She's gorgeous either way, but we're not going to pretend that makeup, just like right now I'm using a filter. Okay, full disclosure. But we're not going to pretend that makeup and getting your hair done and all that stuff doesn't enhance what you have. If it didn't, people wouldn't do it. That you could pick the most gorgeous women. Kim Kardashian, Charlize Theron, Sydney Sweeney, I guess. No, but respectfully, all of these women, they don't come on camera without makeup on. The only time you really see these women without makeup in general, and even those no makeup things are kind of bullshit because they get perfect lighting and they know exactly what to do to manipulate it. You know, in the old days when they would say makeup free celebrities and their natural beauty, but it was really still manipulated. You know, I can take a picture of myself with no makeup where I can look quite pretty because I know my angles and the lighting and everything, so I can look really pretty in those. Meanwhile, it's harder compared to when I'm wearing makeup, but it can be done and it's been done before, right? Meanwhile, most of my pictures, no makeup on, I just get in the camera and I'm not like, you know, trying to be cute. It looks harsh, okay? My dark circles start popping out really hard and everything. Every pimple I've ever picked at starts showing, and you know what I mean? So she wasn't presenting as her best self. And so I don't know what her best self looks like, but as she came on the camera, I can see why she got dragged like she did. And my very first impression was, it was colorism. You know, I mean, it's at like, I'm going to say this, and this is very controversial, but I'm a big believer in saying the quiet part out loud. I'm not trying to have like a color war. I know that this offends some black people where it's like, hey, you know, we're all black, da da da, this, that, and the other. But I definitely follow colorism content, and I think colorism is an extremely important topic in which darker toned people tend to get the brunt of the problems. Okay. Do I think that there has been discrimination towards lighter skinned people? Absolutely. Do I think that along with pretty privilege, that there's also pretty disadvantage? Or punishment? Absolutely. Pretty punishment, we'll call it. Yes, I do. I have a quick story many years ago. Now, this is not a colorism story. This is a pretty story. But many years ago, when I was at Job Corps, one of my favorite memories was that there was this girl that came to the Job Corps looking amazing. Like, her hair was done, her makeup was done, she was dressed gorgeous. Like, she was so effing pretty. And I had this friend who had gone to Job Corps. He told me, you know, oh, you're going to get a boyfriend when you're at Job Corps. And I saw this girl. Sorry, mind you, I was 19 at the time. And I saw this girl and I thought, damn it, she's gonna take all the men. Don't worry, I don't think like that anymore, but that's why I specify I was 19 years old. So I think to myself, I'm like, she's gonna take all the men. I didn't say anything. Now, that's another thing. When I'm jealous of someone, or when I have experienced jealousy, overwhelmingly, I have the brains not to take it out on that person for how I feel as far as my own personal inadequacies. Okay, to me, that is simple-minded to try to mistreat somebody because you are jealous of them. I don't like that stuff. But as far as just feeling jealous of somebody in and of itself, relatable, that's fine. And going back to this girl really quickly, I was thinking to myself, I was like, she's gonna take all the men, you know, because she was so pretty. Speed ahead, one day we're in a class and she's talking to some people next to me, and she wasn't talking to me, and she's like, yeah, you know, my stud. And at that point, I didn't know what the hell a stud was other than a good looking guy. But as far as a stud in the LGBTQIA+, it's a masculine presenting woman. That's what a stud is, who is with another woman, and, you know, whatever. Well, anyway, I learned what a stud was, and I got so happy to find out she was a lesbian. Because I felt like, oh, good, she's not going to take all the men. I know that's so stupid. I know, but I'm just saying. So, I get it that there is a such thing as pretty punishment, but we're not going to pretend that there's more disadvantages to being pretty than advantages. There's definitely more advantages than disadvantages to being pretty. That's my personal opinion. Okay. So, you know, and like, same thing with maybe any other thing. Like, you know, it's not that all things don't come with advantages, but there's also disadvantages, and you have to ask yourself, which is more pronounced, the disadvantages or the advantages to whatever we're talking about. And that also deals with colorism as well. I do not equate colorism to pretty privilege, but since this conversation has been happening, I can say whether you're pretty or you're a fairer skinned person in the African American community, namely, then there's more advantages thrown your way than disadvantages on average, especially for females. Okay, for males, I think it gets a little more even compared to for females, because the aesthetic in the black community is light-skinned woman, dark-skinned man. So on that note, I got somebody joining me, so I'm gonna go. Bye.